You may think I'm lying, but unfortunately I'm telling the truth as I saw it then anyway. This thing was a fleeting companion, but a companion nonetheless. Do you hear? It's the earthly moans of time. Listless motes of cavern dust, the crumbled ruin beneath our feet. All the ordained path of the blessed. You have found their way, their home, their solace. Your name. No, I was wrong.
sorrow precedes you, mortal. It is almost enough to shift the great scale on its own. It has been centuries since my reverie was last disturbed. For what cause are you here? What could a mortal possibly want with me? Alarane and I have been apart for some time. I think it will be good when this business is over to resume our meditations together. I was another of the wretches that the Weeping King saved when he first walked into the Faelands. When he pulled the rot of winter from me, I learned how I too could do the same. So I learned the finer points of his magic and followed him as the first delver. Though all of the house are the followers of the Weeping King, the delvers are his true disciples. They can delve into the sorrows of another, just as he did. It was formed as a way to keep the winter traditions of decay and rot while building a winter court. But in time, we lost true sight of what the essence of winter was. The sorrows are the inheritance of the House of Sorrows, so to speak. We have been working at delving for centuries, collecting and shaping this magic. But we had never thought that it could be exploited. Do the Tuatha revere nothing? They are Alarane's orders. In many ways, they are the stewards of the House of Sorrows. While delvers deal in the spiritual, tenders see to the corporeal. That moniker holds no meaning to a true Fae. What is age to the ageless, to the immortal? Bizarane, I have been sealed in here for some time, mortal. But even I know this one. His is the hand that leads the House of Sorrows, no? I know something of the war this land cries of. I will serve. But before I go to his side, you must find Alarane. She and I are as one. Once, long ago, Alarane and I walked the midden as faithful devotees of the Weeping King. She a tender, and I a delver. We were the first of our kind. But when the Weeping King passed, there was nothing. The House of Sorrows that he had built no longer served death, but the winter court that it itself had created. So Alarane and I left. We came here. We devoted ourselves to the contemplation of death, as the Weeping King would have wanted. It means much to me that you wish to reunite us. We have been long in isolation, contemplating death. Perhaps too long. As you found me on one part of the scale, so will you find her on the other. Now I will leave my cell to wait for you both. She tends to the scale as I have for these many centuries. You must reset the scale in order to reach her chamber. Very well.
How curious. You are mortal, but your steps resound with a burden greater than any one mortal might ever hope to bear. More curious still is your presence here. The great scale is not idly moved, nor is my reverie broken without cause. What is your purpose? Of the Weeping King's disciples, we were the first. Standing on the edge of the midden, we bore witness to him, transforming our people into something more. We vowed to never let that memory fade. Though death did call, we remained in this world, so that the knowledge of the Weeping King persisted. Along with the Weeping King, it was Caelrod with whom I watched the rise of winter. We were fated to be the first tender and delver. I think too long have we been in these contemplations, isolated. When this affair is over, I think we will reunite in earnest. They are the heart of this collective. A delver can take the sorrows into their being like the Weeping King did. Becoming a delver means mastering his art. In the beginning, it venerated death, but in time the house was revered by Winter Fae for its sacrifice. The sorrows, they were meant to stand as a monument to the work of the house. And now they stand on being used as a tool for war. Despicable. Of that order, I was the first. I had the strength to answer the Weeping King and take the burden of other Fae, but I could not hear the sorrows within them. And so I was to honor the midden and tend its depths, so that nature would forever know that we have honored her call for decay. Caelrod and I have lived long in this world, it is true. But our choice was not driven by some manner of self-preservation. It was to learn. All Fae return their life energy to Ashara on death. But the nature of Winter Fae, their essence, lies in the decomposition and decay of all things. Caelrod and I have forsaken being reborn anew to embrace the rotting of the corporeal world among us. That is where nature truly lies. The first king of the House of Sorrows, and perhaps the greatest Winter Fae to walk these lands, he taught us to delve and to bear the burden of winter. But when the realms of winter were freed of this burden, the Weeping King left this world, never to return. It has been long since that transpired. So long, in fact, that I cannot even recall his face or his presence. But it was powerful. Being in his presence was to know the sorrow of our race. I have felt the shifting of the scale. I know that Caelrod has now ended his contemplations to serve the King of Sorrows. It is no small thing that he asks, for the knowledge that was given to us by the Weeping King was never to propagate nor to be exploited. But I know of the times that are upon us. Come, let us join with Caelrod. If Bizarane and you are to find the sorrows, then it is more than my knowledge you will need. Where we must meet, come, and the Eldest will be reunited before you. Goodbye. I am gladdened that Caelrod and I are united once again. But if Bizarane truly seeks the sorrows, then he will need more than the knowledge of the Eldest. There is a key of sorts to the sorrows. It lies in the hollow of Sincere, the hollow of the Weeping King. We must recover it. Yes, a mortal is not suited to this task, perhaps, but I do not believe we have time to find another to do this for us. We have not asked you to reunite us without cause. Our efforts must be divided. Bizarane must be instructed, and the key must be found. One of us will accompany you to Sincere, and the other will go to the house. We leave the choice to you, mortal. Caelrod and I have different skills, but both of us are capable of guiding you through Sincere. I do not deny there will be hardships we must combat. For that, I rely on my Fae blades, while Caelrod uses his magics. Which is of more use is up to you. Very well. I have not had cause to use my blades in some time. I will shadow step to Sincere, and await you to meet me there. Our work awaits, mortal. Let us make haste. Goodbye.
Spent my years in Dalantarth learning to imitate the ways of... She returned triumphant, it would seem. She bore no love for the Hierophant or reverence. And now, the Hierophant has fallen. Where the shadows dwell.
Always open for business when the road is your marketplace. Krilgaren's returned to us in our time of need. With the Hierophant gone, we'll rely on her guidance. Always looking to make a bit of coin? Glad to see another... Traveller, with the Hierophant gone, things have been rather slow. Always looking to make a bit of coin?
Aye. Now come, fellow traveller. Ain't much like a bit of gossip to soothe the tongue, isn't it? May the ground be soft.
My assistant has returned. What do you need of me? Good day.
Keep walking.
Do not be alarmed, young one. I am not your enemy. Not all of the Winter Fae have joined the ranks of the Tuatha. I did not join the Tuatha when they came, even as other that I cared for fell under their spell. The Great Cycle and the balance are what I follow. This war of theirs is lunacy. Even here, the Tuatha created death and destruction. When they summoned Baelor, the region was consumed in flames. It will be a long time before anything grows in the charred path he left behind. I do not understand them or their new god. My friends among them have become wild, not like themselves at all. They are cruel and distant now, fanatical in their beliefs. Farewell. Have you returned already? I am awaiting the return of my beloved, Alea. She fell under the spell of the Tuatha and marched north with their vile army. Among them she perished, one of the many to fall at Melsenshir. I wonder, could you help me with a small task? I need this ring placed inside of a hollow. I am forbidden from entering Ranil. When Alea fell under the spell of the Tuatha, I tried to convince her that it was lunacy. But her belief was fanatical. She banished me from her presence and that of her hollow. Thank you, mortal. Alea's hollow is called Ranil. It lies on the southern edge of the Keening. There is a small altar at its bottom. Place the ring there. I wish to show Alea that my love has remained true, and that I wait for her still. My beloved, we have always been together through every turn of the Great Cycle. But with the coming of the Tuatha, she changed. She no longer cared for the balance, only for their new god. I tried to convince her to return to the cycle, but she wouldn't listen. She marched with the Tuatha army to Melsenshir and fell during the battle. Ranil is a Fae hollow on the southern edge of the Keening. It is where Alea returns after each turn of the Great Cycle.